Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the Mount Tammany Ridge channel. I'm down here at the bottom of the property, and a few videos back I may have mentioned to you we had a maple tree come down over here. I'm kind of surprised. I'm not surprised for other reasons, being that it was growing in the manure pile that was both good and bad. It's very, very old manure. Basically composted over many years, turned into soil, rich soil, which made the tree grow quickly, and it was very healthy. However, because the soil wasn't really virgin ground that the roots had burrowed themselves into to hold the tree up, it only took a little while before the wind came through and knocked that thing over once it got, once the canopy got to a certain size. So it's a shame. It was a nice shade tree, but here we are. So I'm not really sure how much of it I'm going to process. We'll have to see. I imagine I can get quite a bit of firewood out of it. It's got a lot of branches, and that could make for not so fun splitting, but I don't want to let it go to waste either. So right now at this point, I'm going to get on the excavator and I'm going to start breaking, the canopy apart with the thumb and the bucket, and try to get this thing a little bit easier to see, a little more manageable. Right up here, the top of the compost pile, I'm going to take a walk up there with you guys and see, what I'm dealing with up there as far as a root ball. All right. So it looks like we have a little bit of a game trail going on here. I imagine primarily deer and probably timber rattle. Yep, definitely deer. I see some deer pellets, and I know we have plenty of timber rattlers, so I really need to keep my eyes open here. Yeah, so there you go. As you can see, if you look at the type of soil, it's very loose, and that's not great for a strong root system. So that's what we're working with. So I'm going to get to dismantling the branches and limbs on this thing, and see what we can come up with. The least I have to break out the chainsaw, the better. Just because I've had a long day already, and the less I got to carry around that heavy saw, the better. So, almost died. All right. Now I'm going to have to be really careful, pulling this apart, because as I break these lower branches off, they're the support system to hold this tree up. So I just need to be mindful. I think I'm going to start reaching up as high as I can to deal with those first. That way, when this comes down, those aren't going to come plunging into my my cab or my open ROPS anyway. So, all right, well, let's get at it. Sun's going down, and so is my energy level. No, I didn't step in it. system, I guess on the downhill side, seems to be hanging on a little more than I wanted it to. I'm gonna have to kind of crawl up this embankment and kind of paw at it, see if I can get the brake loose, and I'll be able to drag this tree out. Yeah, it wasn't hanging on by too much, just enough to make it not want to come out of there, you know, along with the friction of the log laying on that soft ground up there. It was actually kind of giving it more traction than I wanted. So, all right, so that's out of there now. Now I'm going to take the chainsaw, clean up the limbs on this thing, and I think I might cut a few 8-foot pieces out of it. We'll see how it goes. And you can see I had to, you know, tear apart the hillside and kind of lessen the slope so that I could climb up there. This stuff's so soft that, you know, you try to climb up it, especially when you're pushing on your tiptoes with, you know, the bucket, and you're on the tiptoes of the tracks and you're trying to, you know, walk up it. It just kind of, the tracks just kind of remove it almost like a conveyor belt and just send it out the other way. So I had to do what I did. So yeah, let's get the chainsaw fired up, get to cleaning this thing up. think my final decision is I'm just going to bring this whole log up in one piece, and it'll just make it easier. If I cut it into multiple pieces, I don't have the skid steer here today. It's still up at that job, so it'd just be easier. If I had the forks on the skid steer, I'd just come down and put 3-4 pieces on there and haul it up. But with just one machine, I figure one slow ride up with the whole thing is probably the best choice. So, all right, I'm gonna get this thing out of the way, and then I'm gonna get to cleaning this mess up. Good evening, everybody. It is about, I don't know, 5 to 8 right now on the Eastern time. Out here in the garage and wrapping up this video. I apologize. The video just kind of came to an abrupt end there. You probably saw at the end there, I grabbed the burn barrel and I brought it over toward the pile. So what we usually do with our burn barrels is we'll bury the contents after we burn them. More so because we have horses and stuff that frequently ride around the property, and also naturally in the pastures they'll be out there walking around and eating and things like that. So anything that we might burn in the burn barrel, from cardboard and paper, some wood maybe, every once in a while, a nail or a screw might get in there, and we just want to be sure it doesn't make it out to the pastures or to the surrounding property line, where the horses might be getting ridden around the outskirts of the property. So we usually just bring it down there to the brush pile, and we'll dig a new hole and we'll just flip the barrel over and call it good. Bury it a couple feet down. That way we don't have to worry about that. So yeah, it took me a little bit longer today to get that tree taken apart and put out of there. I think largely because I was moving the camera around and trying to make sure you guys can see a lot of what I'm doing. There was a couple times where I thought, gee, maybe I should get off the machine and change camera angles. But, with the sun going down and the mosquitoes were getting really nasty down there. So just saying mosquitoes making me itch. But I figured I'd bring you along for that. I probably mentioned it once or twice in a few previous videos. That I was going to be getting down there to work on that in between everything else I have going on. Right now, you've probably seen in some of my shorts, we're resurfacing the deck and putting on a new railing. That's still kind of going on. My dad's just kind of going out there, doing, little things, getting just a little bit further every day while the weather allows him to kind of do that. And if I have time when I get home, in between mowing a couple of my neighbors' yards and dealing with fallen down trees that have probably been laying there for 2 months now, and a little side work, like I got that grading job up on the other side of the valley that I've is ongoing, and then the neighbor is hiring me to come over and transplant a tree, and turns out he's also a YouTuber. It's I believe it's Kirk Allen Trucking, if you wanted to look that up, if you're interested in that kind of stuff. And he's got you know, some excavation equipment and things like that. I don't know a whole lot about what he does, but soon I will be learning a little bit more, now that I, you know, kind of, oh, excuse me, I'm yawning. I'm gonna be going to bed in a little bit, and I think I'm probably gonna look him up and check his channel out in a little bit more detail. But I'm gonna be, like I said, transplanting a tree for him, and then another gentleman that I work with, which I'm pretty friendly with, lives just on the other side of the street, next to their street. He lives just there on the other side of the woods. So he's gonna have me do a little bit of surface work, you know, knocking down some, you know, little rock piles and probably some ragweed and things like that, just to kind of keep it from encroaching onto his backyard and things like that, because ragweed around here, and we've got this new vine. I'm saying it's new because the state, I believe, planted it on the state land adjacent to our property probably 15 years ago. And they had turned that state property into hunting land, and only hunting land. And when they first started doing it, it was supposed to be for, I guess, pheasant and quail and whatever other fowl they intended to hunt out there. And they would do the thing where they, you know, they let it get overgrown, and then they mow paths so that, you know, the hunters and the dogs can walk the paths. The dogs, you know, run in, they flush the birds out, they pop them one, and, well, you know the rest. So that's what they did. But what they were doing was they would be basically releasing the birds. I don't know how, over what period of time they wait before they, you know, go in and mow them down. But they were making, they planted this creeping vine in there. It almost reminds me of the type of vine, when you look at it, it almost reminds me of the vine that you would get from pumpkins. But the leaves are much smaller, the vines are not as girthy and thick, but they kind of grow like a blanket. It's like a big blanket. And it basically just keeps crawling over everything, and it climbs up trees and chokes them out. So that's another thing I need to keep at bay, right? Because it's just going to keep on coming. And fortunately, you know, I have something like the excavator where I can just, you know, just grab them from the trees before they, I was just before here, I didn't realize the camera wasn't recording because it was supposed to be, while I was doing all this stuff. And I'm talking away, and, you know, nothing's getting recorded. You know, par for the course, I guess. But yeah, so I'm over there with the excavator, and I'm grabbing, you know, these vines, clumping them up, and then just pulling them down to protect my trees. I don't have anything left. I mean, between the tree of heaven, which is a junk tree, there's nothing good about it. It's just basically an overgrown weed that grows 60 feet tall and then falls on your house. And then you got, you know, the ash trees, which are perfectly fine when they're not getting killed by ash borers and, well, again, falling on your house or across your horse fence. And we've been having a tremendous problem with that around here. Pretty much all of our ash trees are going to be non-existent, and we're just going to be left with junk and scraggly hardwoods that never get a chance to grow back. So, yeah, anywho, but that's what I got going on today. I just had to, you know, do that. There's a couple other things I need to do. I may or may not bring the camera with you. May or may not bring the camera with me. Oh, you can tell I'm getting tired. But yeah, we'll see. I don't know. I might bring the camera with me. I got to do a little bit of solder work on the back of my truck. I think I got a bad ground or something. My taillights. And I also need to do a repair to my trailer because when I had a blowout, the flapping rubber flipped up and caught the wire loom that has all my light, my wires for my lights. Luckily, it didn't damage anything, but the little clips that tend to rot off, holding your wire loom up, they just fell down. So now my wire is just kind of doing the sway back. So I got to go up in there with my welder and tack weld some new hangers and make sure I keep that stuff from getting yanked out by my wheel. So, and then more decking, right? More the decking part technically, for the most part, is done. We got, I think, one more piece to put in up by the house, and but we just need to fasten them all down. I think we're just waiting for that one more piece before we commit to the rest. And railing. But anyway, I'm rambling. So you guys have yourselves a good night. I appreciate you hanging out with me here on the Mount Tammany Ridge channel. If you've even made it this far in the video, I commend you. So have yourselves a good evening. If you like the content you see here on the Mount Tammany Ridge channel, feel free to hit that like button, subscribe, maybe share with some of your friends who might be interested. Hitting that like button, commenting, and subscribing makes a huge difference. Huge difference. It makes my channel stay relevant and keeps me out there. All right. So also, side note, because I've become monetized through my YouTube shorts, there is the possibility, the capability for my viewers, if they did want to make a donation through the thanks button. I don't know really how all that works. I'm still kind of new to that. I feel uncomfortable even mentioning it. I imagine if you've been on YouTube long enough, you know what that, send a thanks, donation, tip, whatever. I assume you know what that means, but I could be wrong. That's why I'm bringing it up. But that option is there, and assure you guys that anything that you were to donate is going to go directly back into the content. It could be camera gear, could be computer software or computer gear to get me, equipment that's better suited for, editing videos. I mean, everything I've been editing, I've edited almost, I think it's like 320 videos so far, and they've all been on my iPhone. In the very beginning, I used an HP laptop, and my head wanted to explode because all the software that I was familiar with was iPhone or iMac. I was familiar with that platform or whatever you want to call it. So HP wasn't working for me, so I got a wasted laptop laying around doing nothing. So like I said, it's all going to go back in, whether it be stuff for the wood yard, or just, things to, maintain and fix my equipment, whatever it might be, it's all going to be put back into the channel. You're not going to see me going and driving away with a Bugatti Veyron, So, but that's it. You guys have a good one. Take care, and I'll see you on the next video.